Hi everyone, my name is Terry and welcome to my channel, The Pink Dumbbell Problem, and a new episode in the Friday Fact Day series. Been a while since I've done one of these. Feels good to have the old Friday Fact Day series back. Just like last year, I thought with all the Halloween treats and concern that people have around that, I would answer a question that comes up a lot about calories. So, today's fact is: calorie trackers aren't personalized. Before I get going on this topic, there does need to be a content warning. Anybody who has concerns around eating disorders of any way, shape, or form, I am going to be talking about calories. I am going to be talking about counting calories. This may be a video you want to skip. Please look after your own needs in that way. I certainly won't be insulted if you don't watch this one. Now, by calorie trackers in this particular episode, what I'm talking about is not the ones where you put your calories in and you make lists of everything you ate and an app tells you how many calories are in each thing. I mean the other type of calorie tracker that tells you how much you burned, like a fitness watch, for example. So there's a couple of concerns that I have around this as a fitness instructor. First and foremost, I don't work in weight loss. So for me, when I counsel people on calories, I just want to make sure you have enough calories and enough nutrients and all the various types of nutrients for your body to be well fueled for your day-to-day activities and your workout. The problem is that a lot of the fitness industry is confused and conflated with the weight loss industry. And a lot of people come into fitness activities expecting to burn a certain number of calories based on what they ate and the idea that they need to have a caloric deficit. Caloric deficit, for those who haven't had the pleasure yet, is the idea that in order to lose body fat, you have to burn more calories than you take in. And of course, there's two ways to do that. You either take in fewer calories in the first place, or you burn them off with exercise. So what ends up happening is people come in with a smartwatch or sometimes a phone app. It can be any number of things that claim to tell you how much you burned. And while I certainly don't endorse working out for the sake of undoing the calories you ate, I do understand that that is a very important thing to a lot of people, and that a lot of people really want something to rely on, like a device, to tell them exactly where they are. Because it's very important to know calories in versus calories out, because that is the formula to maintaining a certain body size. I love my fitness watch, and it tells me everything. It counts my steps. It shows me how intense my workouts have been. It calculates my sleep, my blood pressure. Everything is in there. And then, of course, I also use the app on my phone, and that's where I can put calories in, so I can compare calories in to calories out. And it's really just a simple mathematical formula. That's all you need to know. Okay, we're girls and we don't do math that well, okay? But it's okay. Just trust the app. The app knows what to do. And then you just do what it tells you. Ugh, get out of here. Why is it every time I talk about calories on this channel, that dopey broad shows up? I don't even know how she gets in here. So there's a couple of problems with these devices. When these watches first became popular, what happened in fitness centers and what personal trainers ended up answering quite a lot was why the numbers on the watch didn't match up with the numbers on the treadmill as far as how many calories were being burned. So when you use something like a phone app to track how many things you've eaten and how many portions and the total calories, depending on the app, those can be fairly accurate, assuming that the information in that app's database is accurate and current about how many calories and other nutrients are in that piece of food. So in that sense, with the calories in tracking apps, you can be more or less pretty accurate. Just like the apps where you put your daily food record in and it tells you how many calories you've eaten. These things are only as good as the database information that they're based on. The way wearable devices are calculating how many calories you've burned is based on the testing of the device that was done on probably a small handful of people. And that's if it was even done at all. Some of the cheaper ones, like this one that I got for, I think, $30 from Groupon, is not going to have that much rigorous testing. Now, of course, the higher price point you go, hopefully the better the testing. But there's really no guarantee of that, which is why when you're getting into the hundreds of dollars range for some of these devices, you got to wonder what you're paying for. Now, each of them claims that they are accurate with the calorie count and they're accurate with other things. The other apps on these things can be quite accurate. The step counters are particularly accurate. If you're wearing it on your hand, or if you've got a pedometer on your hip or your shoe, those can actually be very, very accurate and may actually tell you how active you've been, especially if you're in an active job where you're walking around and moving all the time. They're great for that. But that just tells you quantity. It doesn't tell you quality. And I've talked about intensity before. It's been a while since I did a video on that, but I did do one, and I'll have a link down below. Part of what burns calories is the intensity of your exercise. You can have somebody work out for an hour and somebody else work out for an hour at two completely different intensity levels. So the number of calories burned is going to be completely different. Now, if it's accounting for your heart rate, sure, it may give you a slightly more accurate reading. But again, depending on the price point and the testing done on the device, it may or may not be that accurate with your heart rate too. The other thing with wearables is that they get slightly more accurate the more questions they ask you. What's your current body weight? What's your age or age range? What your gender or sex is based on your hormone profile. In other words, are you heavier in estrogen or in testosterone? They don't often account for other things like, what other hormones are doing in your body. There's more than just estrogen and testosterone hormones in your body. There's plenty of others. I've never heard of one of these devices asking you for details on that. It also doesn't ask for information on different endocrine disorders. I've talked a little bit about PCOS in the past. That's a perfect example of having an endocrine disorder that affects weight gain and loss, and it has nothing to do with how much you eat and how much you exercise. The most devices don't have any slots for any of that kind of information. Again, they're basing these things on averages of the people that were studied when the watch or whatever was tested out, and they might not even be testing directly on some of these less expensive devices. They're taking other research projects that have looked at caloric burn in various types of workouts and just, again, sticking it in a database and saying, okay, well, you worked out at this heart rate for this many minutes, you probably burned X number of calories. It's important to remember that these are not medical grade devices. They are not going to do an accurate count of any of these things. And if you want an accurate count of that, you need to go to a medical expert or an exercise physiology expert or a metabolism expert who has lots of very fancy, very expensive machines that you can't put in a watch. They can run blood tests to see how many calories you've burned. They can run other types of tests like body composition to see what your ratio is of fat to other body tissues. So that's the only real accuracy you're going to get. And of course, all the devices say this in the warning brochure that comes with it, that you're not to take any of this information as medical diagnosis. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm totally down on wearable devices. I'm not. There is some value to them, and it's largely in your fitness outcomes. And by fitness, I don't mean weight loss. I've done another video in the past on what fitness really means. So of course, link down below. Particularly what they're good for is measuring your intensity. Not that it's going to be a scientifically accurate measure, but what it can be used for is a benchmark. If you want to measure, how effective your workouts are, how intensely you're working out, you can use a wearable device or even just the calorie tracker on the treadmill or whatever machine you're using and say, okay, I'm starting at an intensity level that says I'm in zone blue, whatever the machine happens to say. After 6 or 8 weeks and you've learned your workout routine and you're comfortable in it and you can do it quickly without a whole lot of extra planning and rehearsing, and you're getting stronger, your cardiovascular system's improving, all of those sorts of changes are happening, then you can benchmark again and say, okay, I went from zone blue to zone orange or whatever the color scheme is. Yes, I said orange because it's Halloween coming up and I got orange stuff all over this place. The other value of using a device or using the readout on a treadmill is that if you're not improving, then you can apply the FIT principle. Once again, previous video about that, link down below. I'm saying that a lot in this video, but these concepts are all interrelated, and I do try to keep the videos under 15 minutes as best I can. FIT principle stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. And if you're not seeing any changes in your fitness levels, if you're not getting stronger, you're not getting better at breathing while you exercise, all of those things, not fat loss, other aspects of fitness. If you aren't getting any of those improvements, it's time to change something up in the FIT principle, the frequency, intensity, time, or type of your workout. Then you'll start to see those improvements again over several weeks. But of course, the downside is that all of these numbers are marketed in such a way that it makes you feel like, well, they must be accurate. So people put their trust in these numbers. Numbers feel more sciencey, feels more trustworthy. And that's definitely not the case. And of course, as I've said many, many times in many, many videos on this channel so far, follow the money. Keep in mind, when somebody's trying to sell you a watch or a phone app or a smart device of some kind, they're trying to sell you the device. So there can be all kinds of promises made that have a little kernel of truth in them, but they're not necessarily accurate, and they're not necessarily describing it scientifically. They are using buzzwords to make you feel confident that this watch is going to tell you something that it's really not built to tell you. So yes, there are things that wearable technology and even the readouts on the treadmill can be valuable for, but they're not anywhere near the level of accuracy. And if you can buy it off of Groupon for $35, really? No. Ultimately, these companies want to sell you an expensive watch. They want to tell you what you want to hear, so you whip out your credit card and they make a sale. These are not medical grade devices. Quite frankly, they're not individual enough or individualized enough for you to have an accurate reading. They're based on broad averages at best. For anybody for whom calorie counting is something that you can go down the rabbit hole and have some unhealthy behaviors evolve out of, just avoid those things altogether. You can just take, a magazine or a book or something, a piece of paper, anything, and put it over the readout on the treadmill so you don't even see it. And really, the ultimate answer, I know this is my bias, but anyway, the ultimate answer is to work out for all the other benefits it gives you. Don't work out because you think it's going to be some miraculous weight loss thing that's going to solve all your problems. It's not. It is going to make your life better in a lot of ways. You're going to have a lot of improvements over time. It's not going to happen instantly. And whether or not you lose any body fat actually doesn't even have to play into the equation at all. There's so many other benefits from regular exercise that really it's like the bottom rung of the ladder of importance. And you know what? Halloween, any holiday, whether it's an official holiday or just something we celebrate secularly, it's important to go out and have a bit of fun. Indulge in some treats. I got me one of these that I'm going to dig into very shortly. That's the whole point of holidays, is to give you a break from the usual, the mundane, the average. So if you have been dieting, treat yourself. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. It's been great to do a Friday Fact Day again. I still have a few more of these planned coming up over the next several months, so stay tuned for more of those. And please click some links down below. There's a whole bunch of videos that have referenced other things related to this topic today. So go have a look through some of those. And of course, check out the links below that where you can support me on Patreon or buy a shirt on Threadless and help this channel grow. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and share this video with friends so they also get this information. That's it from me, everybody. Have a fantastic Halloween. Eat all the candy, but please brush your teeth after. And as I always say, lift heavy, fight the patriarchy, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.